Welcome to all the dignitaries, schools, and students who have joined in for this online event. A very good evening to all of you. My name is Gaurav, and I will be the host of this event. As we all know, this event is conducted by Save the Frogs India, and the topic for this event is amphibians and the most intelligent species on Earth: life, threat, scope, and hope. Today, we have representatives from different countries joined in for this event, with Srishti School and Sunrise School from Nepal, International Hope School from Bangladesh, and Bhatar Madhab Public High School and Royal Concord International School, Sarjapur Road from India. So, without further ado, I would like to start this event by requesting Dr. Kerry Krieger, who is the founder and executive director of Save the Frogs and have conceived Save the Frogs Day, which is the world's largest day of amphibian education and conservation action, and has given over 390 presentations on amphibian conservation in over 19 countries. So I would like to request Dr. Krieger to inaugurate this event with a speech. Dr. Krieger, on to you.
Hello and namaste, everyone. It is great to be here, and I'm actually in South America right now in Colombia, and I'm happy that Sarbani and all the organizers have set up this international event to bring awareness about amphibians, which are having trouble in South Asia and worldwide. Lots of amphibian species disappearing, and in most places, not a lot of people think about the amphibians, the frogs and toads, newts and salamanders, and Sicilians, the amphibians that don't have limbs. They don't get a lot of attention generally, so it's good that certain people in the world in Save the Frogs India, and various other groups have put a lot of attention on amphibians and ensuring that the next generation cares for and protects amphibians. And I'm looking forward to hearing everything that is going on with Save the Frogs India and what Sarbani has planned for all of you. And I'm sure that all the students here are going to come out a lot more knowledgeable about amphibians and therefore able to spread the word in your own communities, at your schools, to your friends and family, and to take positive action for amphibians.
Thank you, Dr. Krieger. So I hope the students will cherish these words for the rest of their life. And now I would like to request Mrs. Sarbani Nag, who is the director and Indian coordinator of Save the Frogs India and the founder of Wish Foundation, to speak a few words to the students.
A very good evening to all of you. And I was really wishing that this evening should come fast so that I can listen to all of you. Amphibians are actually the little creatures, but I think they're as important as a tiger or an elephant or any charismatic species. Thanks to Dr. Kerry Krieger for giving us the opportunity to register Save the Frogs India. And this is the first ever program of this organization, registered organization. But as Save the Frogs India is operational in India since 2009. And the idea of this program is to create a common platform for the frog enthusiasts of India and the neighboring countries. This is just a beginning, and we have a long way to go, and we have a lot of plans coming up in near future. And now I'm really glad that all of you are here today to show us the way, like how we will be going to save the frogs in future. And now I will not take much time. Over to Gaurav to start the program. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for those kind words. So now it's time for the main part of the event all of us were waiting for. So let me just tell you, each participating team will only be given 15 minutes to conclude their presentations. So I wish you guys all the very best. And first, I would like to request the students from Shrishti School, Nepal to begin their presentations. So Shrishti School guys, over to you and all the best.
Good evening, everyone. I am Lavi Plama from Srishti School. I'm going to give short presentation on amphibians and the most intelligent species on Earth with my friend Sonam and Vaibhav. Introduction. Amphibians. Amphibians come from the Greek of the word amphibious, meaning double life. Amphibians are the animals which can live both on land and in water, for example, frog, toad, etc. They are included in the class of cold-blooded vertebrate animal. They are distinguished by having aquatic gill-breathing larval stage followed by the terrestrial long-breathing adult stage. Frogs are irreversible part of nature. They are small animals that can jump very well. They are vertebrate animals and include in the class Amphibia. They have smooth skin, long hind limbs, and sticky tongues, as you can see in the picture. Why is frog called an amphibian? Frog is called amphibian because frogs start their lives in the water and then live on land according to the defenders of wildlife. Habitat of frog. Habitat means the frog, where do they live? Adult frogs live in fresh water and on dry land. Some species are adapted for living underground in trees. Body structure of frog. The body of the frog is divisible into the head and trunk. Neck and tail are absent in a frog. The skin of a frog is moist, smooth, and slippery. They have web fluid to swim fast, and also they have a bulging eyes. Food and feeding habit of frog. Young tadpoles feed on algae, and when they become adult, they eat insects such as grasshopper, worms, snails, etc. Frogs use their long and sticky tongue to catch their prey. When they catch their prey, they roll into their mouth. I would like to request my friend Sonam to continue the presentation. Over to you, Sonam.
Thank you, Lavi. Frog's life circle. Frog's life circle. Frogs lay eggs. This process usually occurs through eternal fertilization, where the female releases her eggs from her body into the water. Then the male releases his sperm to fertilize them. In this case, the frogs are fertilized inside the female's body before they are released. So as you can see here, this is a picture of a frog's life circle. First, a female frog releases its eggs into the water. Then the egg turns into a tadpole. Then it starts breathing with its eternal gills. Then the tails keep on growing. Hind leg appears, lives from food stored in the tail, and front leg appears. Tails become shorter and it turns into a young frog. And after that, it becomes an adult frog. Then the process goes on. Frogs found in the world. Some of the frogs found in the world are mentioned below. Organization that saved frog in the world. Some of the organizations that saved the frog in the world are listed below. Amphibian Conservation Organization, the the Amphibian and Reptile Conservation Trust, the Amphibian Conservation Eradicated Zoos and Aquarium (AZA), Amphibian Survival Alliance. Organization that save frog in Nepal. Department of National Park and Wildlife Conservation, Wildlife Conservation Nepal (WCN), Amphibian and Reptile Conservation Society of Nepal (ARCO Nepal), Companion for Amphibian and Reptile of Nepal (CARON). Frogs benefit to humans. Adult frogs eat large quantity of insects, including disease vectors that can transmit fatal illness in humans. Frogs also serve as an important food source to a diverse array of predators, including dragonflies, fish, snakes, birds, beetles, centipedes, and even monkeys. Frogs benefit to farmers. Frogs are common in the farming fields. The frogs are environment friendly and help the farmers by eating certain pests which are harmful for the crops. Frogs help farmers by eating insects like grasshoppers, worms, etc. Frogs and ecosystem. Frogs play a certain role in many ecosystems. They control the insect population and they are food source for many larger animals. To keep things in balance, frogs use lots of survival tools. Threats: habitat destruction, pollution and pesticides, global warming, infection, disease. Now I would like to request my friend Bob to continue the presentation. Up to you, Bob.
Thank you, Sonam. Endangered amphibian species in the world. About 32% of amphibian species are threatened or endangered. Some of them are listed below. Titicaca water frog. The cause is overharvesting and environment population. The second is Machia's breast spot frog. The cause is habitat destruction. In the third is golden mantella. The cause is habitat loss due to agriculture and logging. Extinct amphibian species in the world. About 41% of amphibian species are extinct and some of them are listed below. In the first, you can see golden frog. In the second, you can see Sri Lanka's shrub frog. In the third, you can see Harlequin's frog. Things that will happen if there is less number of frogs. Environment impact. A frog is considered as natural indicator which helps measure the health of the environment. Disease outbreak. Without the frog, the mosquitoes population will explode, spreading many deadly diseases around the world. Food chain broken. The frog can be prey and predator as it helps contain insects, also serve as a food for countless animals. How can we save frogs? We can save frogs by planting a tree in your backyard or create a space of wildlife. We can build a pond for neighbor frogs and leave active aquatic vegetables growing. We should not use harmful chemicals in home or garden. Fun facts about frog. In the first picture, you can see a frog in the water. Instead of frog drinking water, they soak it up through their gills. In the second picture, you can see a frog's nostril. Instead of breathing through their gills, they breathe through their gills as well as through their nostrils. In the third picture, you can see frogs' bulging eyes that can see in almost all directions at once. They always keep their eyes open even when they're sleeping. March 20 is known as the World Frog Day. If we kill the frogs, the insect population will grow and disease will spread around the world, etc. Thank you everyone. I hope you liked the presentation and please be a responsible person and save the frogs. Thank you.
So thank you guys. That was really great. And now I would ask International Hope School from Bangladesh, the first team, to begin their presentation. Over to you guys.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. Hope you were having a great day. My name is Azmain Adil, and I'm from Bangladesh, and I'll be representing International Hope School of Bangladesh. I'm going to be presenting about how we are harming ourselves and the wild and how to prevent this from happening. So we humans, Homo sapiens, we haven't really had a long time. I mean, compared to the other species that went extinct. We've just been in this earth, in this planet for a few million years, and we have learned to adapt ourselves to our surrounding. When that surrounding changes, very, very bad things happen. Global warming changes the environment and takes a huge amount of time to readapt to that global warming environment. And so all the amphibians and all the humans, we do not have enough time to actually readapt to that environment because global warming is occurring extremely fast. Frogs are an important part Frogs are a very important part on our planet. It's because they control insects in farms by eating them. So if the frogs, they go extinct, insects will grow. Insects will overpopulate, and farmers are going to have a very hard time growing their crops because then insects are going to ruin it. So it's important. Right off the bat, we can see how important frogs are in this matter. So this is why frogs should be conserved and helped by not being extinct. So they play a huge role in our food chain. I'm going to talk about more of this later. So in the past 500 million years, 5 species have gone extinct. They've gone completely extinct, and because of that, everything in their environment, it was no longer there. So amphibians and humans, we also might not have such a long time in this planet anymore. We might also go extinct because of global warming, because of wildfires. Extinction is a very strong word. It means that it's a global wipeout. Nothing will survive except their fossils. Amphibians are part of a food chain, like I said. A food chain, ultimately, it leads up to a human. And a food chain is when one animal eats something and that animal and another animal eats that something, right? So frogs, let's just say, for example, frogs eat insects, and snakes eat those frogs. If frogs go extinct, then what happens is that those snakes, they're not getting anything to eat. If they don't get anything to eat, which means snakes also go extinct. Like that, I said, ultimately, everything leads up to the humans, which means if everything goes extinct like this, humans will also go extinct. So ultimately, if a wildlife gets harmed, humans will get harmed. So this is very important to conserve the frogs and conserve every wild animal out there, because if they go extinct, it's our harm. We also get a part of that, right? So we are also going to go extinct because we're not going to have enough food. It's going to be an era of starvation. So if one part gets disrupted from a food chain, the entire thing starts to fall apart. This is not good. This means that every animal will have like starvation and every animal will die. Everything is going to go extinct. Global wildfires destroy habitats of the frogs, and because of that, it also kills some of the frogs. Then they're isolated. Since they're isolated, they'll have no choice other than to come to the city. If they do come to the city, this is an extremely honest answer that we would not keep them. We would just kill them, or we would do something bad to them because we do not want them in our city, right? This would kill them, and this sounds very inhumane, but it's true, you know? We would ultimately kill them because we do not want them here in this city. And so we have to stop those global wildfires by stopping global warming, because with greenhouse gases, they're creating huge holes in the sky. The sun's bad rays, they come inside the planet, and then they're the ones who cause wildfires. Also, humans also cause wildfires, and this is not a good thing. So we should preserve and we should conserve their shelters. So frogs are actually not very, like, it's not good looking. It's slimy, and it's not like a dog or cat where you can pet it in the house. You have to always keep it under something, and you always have to keep it away from you, right? So we have to stop global warming in order to conserve their habitats and so that they can actually live there. So we have to find a new alternative to plastic. Plastic is very, very bad for the environment. What plastic does is that it can last for years. It can last for centuries in just street if you throw it there. If you throw a plastic on the street, it's gonna last there for a very, very long time. And ultimately, when it goes to that wastage, when it goes to that junk area, a frog, it may come over and it may try to eat that plastic. That because of plastic, many animals have died because of plastic in their stomach. Plastic is not very recyclable, and it's made out of a non-renewable source. It's made out of crude oil and petroleum. So we have to use paper or anything that's not harmful for the environment. So we have to stop plastic use. It's a dead simple solution, but it's harder than it sounds. We have to get that news off to every market out there in order to actually get it to work. Wildfires, they killed plants, which means that plants make oxygen, right? Everything lives off of oxygen. Frogs, they also have to have oxygen to breathe. Everything, every microorganism, every living microorganism, it needs oxygen to respire. And in order to conserve oxygen, we need more and more plants. We can do that by planting a plant in our balcony or backyard. It's going to be incredibly helpful, even if it is just one plant. If everyone does it, there's going to be billions of plants planted around all over the world. And that's important. If we don't have enough oxygen, then it's bad for us. Killing and extinction of a simple animal like frogs, or any other animal for that matter, affects humans. It ultimately all leads up to humans. All factors of what we're doing right now add up to extinction of Homo sapiens and everything around them. Because if one thing goes extinct, we know that everything else will go extinct. This is going to be the sixth biggest extinction if we do go extinct on the planet. So we should all do our part and ask others to do theirs to save amphibians like frogs and wildlife in order to save humanity. Thank you, and I hope you would spread the word. Thank you.
Thank you, Adil. That was really insightful. So now I would ask Royal Concord International School, Sarjapur Road from India to begin their presentations.
Good evening, everybody. First, I want to thank Save the Frogs for giving us this amazing opportunity to not only learn about amphibians, but to also showcase our learnings. We, as a team, are representing our school, Royal Concord International School, Sarjapur Road in Bangalore. The primary focus of our presentation is amphibians in India. Amphibians are the most intelligent species, self-acclaimed on Earth. Life, threats, scope, and hope. So what is the meaning of the word amphibian? The word amphibian comes from the Greek word amphibious, which means to live a double life. The noun amphibian has its roots in the words amphi, meaning of both kinds, and bias, meaning life. The word is used for a class of animals that spend a part of their lives in water and a part of it on land. But how did the first amphibians evolve? The first amphibians evolved from lobe-finned fishes approximately 370 million years ago during the Devonian period. They were the first vertebrates to make the move from life in water to life on land. Even though amphibians moved from water to land a long time ago, they kept a deep connection with the aquatic habitats.
Now let us look at the different types of amphibians. The category Anura contains of frogs and toads. They are mostly widespread. They do not have tail and they eat invertebrates. The category Urodela consists of the salamanders, newts, and mud puppies. 1/3 of known salamander species are found in North America. They have tail and are predators. The category Gymnophiona consists of the Sicilians. Many species of Sicilians are found in India, Western Ghats like Karnataka, Kerala, or Maharashtra. They are limbless like snakes or earthworms.
So we know that amphibians are incredible. Why are amphibians incredible? Amphibians play an important role in nature, both as predators and prey. Tadpoles are also food for many animals. They eat pest insects, which benefits agriculture around the world and helps minimize the spread of diseases, including malaria. Amphibian skin contains many chemicals offering possible medical cures for a variety of human diseases. For example, phantasmal poison frog secretes a chemical which is very strong painkiller. Around 10% of all Nobel Prizes for medicine have resulted from studies on frogs. Amphibians' ability to regrow limbs is being studied to shed light on how to improve tissue regeneration and growth.
Let's look at some cartograms on global amphibian diversity. Before that, let's understand what are cartograms. Recently, scientists are using cartograms to visualize data and distribution of a variable. The maps are modified such that each area takes on a new shape or size based on the variable being mapped. Now, why use cartograms? Cartograms present geographically relevant numerical data in an efficient diagram. We use cartograms to show the biodiversity data of amphibians. The slide presents a cartogram of the world's amphibian diversity. The countries present in the northern latitudes disappear, while most of the countries in South America are populated with amphibian species. Likewise, in Asia, India, Sri Lanka, China, Indonesia, Vietnam, and most countries in Southeast Asia are hotspots of global amphibian diversity. Moving on, we have the percentage of threatened and endangered amphibian species. The cartogram displays data from the Global Amphibian Assessment. As we can observe, Central America is one of the regions where there is a high percentage of threatened amphibian species. Correspondingly, in Asia, we have Sri Lanka, India, China, and the Philippines with a high number of endangered amphibian species, and therefore we need to conserve amphibians. Let's dig deeper by looking into the global diversity of specific amphibian classes. Firstly, we have the Sicilians. The Sicilians lack population globally. They are less in number compared to other amphibian classes. They inhabit in the moist tropical regions of South America as well as Central America. In addition, they are found in a large number in India. They also populate in Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, and the Philippines in the Asian continent. Secondly, we have the salamander diversity. As it is evident from the cartogram, salamanders are primarily focused in Central America. On the other hand, South America is lacking population of salamanders compared to other continents. India, China, and parts of Northeast Asia also include a good number of salamander population. Lastly, we have the Anura diversity. It is the most affected of amphibians and is also the most numerous. They are globally more in number compared to other amphibian species. They are highly populated in the countries of South America. Similarly, they are also present in India, Sri Lanka, and most of the countries present in Southeast Asia. From the cartogram, we can also observe that Australia has many Anura species.
Amphibian diversity in India. At present, India has 437 amphibian species. 80% of these are endemic and are concentrated in the three biodiversity hotspots: Western Ghats, Himalayas, and Northeast India. About 4% of the amphibian species are critically endangered, 2% are near threatened, and others have not yet been assessed. According to a list enumerated by the Zoological Survey in India in 2020, there are 86 data deficient amphibian species.
Now let us discuss some remarkable amphibians of India. Firstly, we have the purple frog, endemic to Western Ghats. It is a burrowing species. The purple frog is listed as endangered by the IUCN Red List and is threatened by deforestation from expanding cultivation in addition to consumption and harvesting by local communities. Night frogs. The Nyctibatrachus is a genus of frogs endemic to the Western Ghats of southwestern India. Their common name is night frogs. Their scientific name also means night frog. In reference to their habits and dark color, currently 35 species belong to the Nyctibatrachus. So as you can see, the night frog easily fits onto a 1 rupee coin. Next is the dancing frogs. Endemic to Western Ghats, they are known for their crafty mating dance where the males tap and wave their feet in the air and kick the hind legs. As you can see in the picture, in the last 10 years, 40 new species of dancing frogs have also been found in the Western Ghats. The starry dwarf frog was discovered sitting next to some leaf litter by eagle-eyed researchers on a joint US-Indian expedition in thick Shola forest in the Western Ghats in Kerala, South India during a nocturnal hunt. The scientists have discovered a narrow-mouthed frog in Arunachal Pradesh. It is the 50th member of the genus Microhyla, a group of narrow-mouthed frogs commonly known as rice frogs or chorus frogs, primarily and widely distributed in Asia. So here I want to mention that Dr. Satyabhama Das Biju, who is called the Frogman of India, has discovered many of these endemic species in recent years. Next is the Himalayan crocodile salamander. This species is distributed in the hills and mountains of the Himalayan system in northeastern Asia, India, Sikkim and Darjeeling districts, Bhutan, eastern Nepal, southern China, through northern Myanmar and northern Thailand to northern Vietnam. Next is the Sicilians in Western Ghats. The Western Ghats in India are home to several species of Sicilians, Gymnophiona. They are also found in agricultural fields and only surface during the monsoon. The body is elongated and smooth with a slimy skin.
Threats to amphibians in India. Alteration and destruction of habitat. Greatest threat to the amphibians in India is from the destruction and alteration of their habitat through anthropogenic activities and deforestation. Frogs and toads inhabit in relatively smaller areas, what scientists call microhabitats. A minor change in the niche and the frog or toad can end up on the threatened species list. Habitat alteration. For example, the narrow-mouthed Microhyla ornate prefers little heavy habitats under cool dense canopy of vegetation. But when people move in and remove the thick layer of dry leaves and fallen twigs, much of the amphibian life is inadvertently destroyed. Chytridiomycosis, the chytrid fungus which has spelled doom for amphibian populations across the globe, has been detected in frogs across all major biodiversity hotspots in India, including the Himalayas, where it was found to be more pervasive, a study has reported. Lastly, we have water and soil pollution.
A known effect of water pollution is that of the bronzed frog. It was widely seen in the clean perennial streams of the Kiriparai and Maranmalai in Tamil Nadu, but is now hard to come by in the waters of the region, which are putrefied by the waste from rubber plantations.
Now we'll talk about some strategies and ways that we can adopt to help conserve amphibians. We got to know so much about amphibians and their importance in the last couple of weeks because of this event. So definitely there's a need to study amphibians more than it is being done currently. Amphibian species list needs to be updated regularly, and there needs to be more research conducted on amphibians. In the last 10 years, more than 100 new frog species have been described in India. The IUCN status list needs to be updated, as with so many new species being recorded, the percentage of species in different categories like endangered, critically endangered, vulnerable, etc. will also vary. For some more research to happen, there needs to be awareness and more discussion about amphibian conservation in school, colleges, educational institutions. Also, the government make amphibian conservation a priority in the environmental policies. More funding will flow in the research field and scientists will have more resources. Citizen science program. A citizen science collaboration between scientists and those of us who are just curious or concerned and motivated to make a difference. A citizen science project can involve one person or millions of people collaborating towards a common goal. So local communities can be engaged as volunteers in Western Ghats and Himalayas to collect data on amphibians. For involving the community's sensitization campaigns on amphibians need to be organized in these places. Farmers and agriculturists need to be made aware of the adverse effect of pesticides on amphibians. There are few steps which we can take on our own to conserve amphibians. Leave natural and artificial ground cover in our backyard. Example, old wood cover boards or dead wood. Ground cover provides moist shelter to amphibians. Join causes and campaigns to stop destruction of wetlands for land development. Avoid releasing chemicals like environmental estrogens into the water. Leave native aquatic vegetation growing on nearby water bodies. It provides food, refuge, and breeding habitat for amphibians. With this, we conclude our presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. That was really well done and a really great team effort from all of you. So now I would ask Sunrise School from Nepal to begin their presentation.
Good evening, everyone. It's me, Arzu, from grade 7.
And it's me, Peter, from grade 8.
From Sunrise Boarding School, Nepal, Kathmandu, Chapali, Gumti, and we would like to give a short presentation on amphibians, introduction on amphibians, their life, threats, importance, richness, and conservation status. So at first, I would like to give an introduction about amphibians. So amphibians, when they are born, they usually live in water. So in the younger stage of amphibians, they start living in water. So when they grow up and become adults, they spend most of their time on land. So after amphibians are done living in water when they're in the younger stage, after they grow up, they become adults, they start living in water, in land, and they spend most of their time on land. Amphibians have thin, bare skin with no hairs and scales. So amphibians actually have thin skin, bare skin with no hairs and scales. Now I would like to move on to the importance of amphibians. So they eat pest insects which benefits agriculture around the world. So as you can see here, a frog is eating a pest insect. So a pest insect is actually harmful for crops, for farmers, and the pest insect, amphibians will eat the pest insects, and the pest insects population will be low, and there will be benefits of agriculture around the world. So Amphibians are also an important part of the food chain, providing food resources for animals. So as you can see here, a fish is eating a frog, and not only fish eats amphibians, but also many creatures from snakes to raptors also eat amphibians. That keeps the food chain in a balance. So researchers are using amphibians in regeneration studies in hope of developing new ways of treating humans who have lost limbs. So researchers are actually using amphibians in hope of treating the humans who have lost limbs from using amphibians. So I would like to explain the life of amphibians. So when they hatch slowly, they go to a process called metamorphosis. So what is metamorphosis? So as you can see here, the life cycle of a frog. When a female frog lays eggs, and the eggs turns into tadpoles, and the tadpole starts to grow black legs and front legs, and they turn into a young frog also called a froglet, and the process continues after the froglet turns into adult. So they hatch slowly and they go to a process called metamorphosis. In the early stages of their lives, amphibians breathe through gills. So in the younger stages of life, amphibians start breathing through their gills but not any other organs. So when they grow up and become an adult, they start breathing through their lungs. So as I said, the younger stages of their lives, they start living, they use their gills, and after they become adults, they start breathing through their lungs. Amphibians reproduce by laying eggs that do not have a soft skin, not a hard shell. So as you can see here, these are the eggs of a frog. They do not have a soft skin, not a hard shell. From here, now I would like my friend Peter to explain the richness, threats, and conservation measures.
Hello everyone, so it's me Peter, and thanks Arzu for whatever you said. I would like to take it from here. So I will be saying the richness, threats, and conservation status of amphibians in our country. So this is the richness. So in Nepal, there is total of 52 amphibian species. Some of them are salamanders, frogs, turtles, etc. So there are 52 species of amphibians found in Nepal, and some of them are salamanders, frogs, and turtles. So in the Kanchenjunga Singalilia complex, it is a well-known hotspot for amphibians. So it's a complex, well-known hotspot. It's a place where amphibians are kept very protectedly, and they are kept very they are kept as if like that they don't go extinct. They are protected there, and there are different types of wildlife reserves and national parks such as Persa Wildlife Reserve, Chiton National Parks. The amphibians are kept there so that they could be protected, and they could be protected from the hands of hunters. So moving on, I would like to say some threats of amphibians. So these are the threats of amphibians, or the reasons of amphibians going extinct. Rapid urbanization. So we humans are destroying the trees. We are cutting down the trees and building many huge buildings and houses, which are destroying the lives of the frogs, non-native species, predatory fish, bullfrogs, fungus, and pathogens. So these animals, they eat frogs, amphibians, or any amphibians as their daily source of food. So in this manner, they eat a lot of amphibians, and they even disturb the breeding process of amphibians, and they get disturbed, and they go extinct or they die. So in the increase of chemical fertilizers and pesticides, so we humans use chemical fertilizers and pesticides to kill the harmful pest insects in crops that destroy our crop and make our crops and farms harmful. So we use those so that the harmful frogs, harmful insects could die. But we should also make sure that the amphibians also do stay in these crops, and they also get the impact of the pesticides and the harmful chemical fertilizers. So the climate change, if we pollute the area, it disturbs the greenhouse effect, and if the greenhouse effect is disturbed, the climate changes. So as we all know that the amphibians, when they grow, they especially live near water or in water. So after the sudden change of climate, the amphibians can't stand the sudden change of climate, and most of the amphibians just die. And the food chain of animals also disturbs the life of amphibians. As we can see here, a grasshopper eats the grass, frog eats the grasshopper, and snake eats the frog, or any types of amphibians. So in this manner also the frogs or the amphibians keep on dying and the most species go extinct. So moving on, I would like to say the last thing, the conservation measures. So these are some of the measures we can do for protecting the amphibians. Some are avoid releasing chemical fertilizers or pesticides in nature. So no matter it's how harmful the insects are, but we should make sure that the amphibians don't get the impact of these fertilizers, because it's are very harmful for them and they get the impact of it and they die by getting the poison. So we should protect the amphibians of pets also, because the pet disturbs the breeding process of amphibians. They kill the amphibians, some eat the amphibians, and in this manner the amphibians also get disturbed. We shouldn't be polluting either disforest the earth, because if we pollute, it disturbs the greenhouse effect, change the climate changes. If we deforest and we build huge buildings, the houses of frogs and many amphibians or many types of living organisms home will be disturbed, and the major reason is hunting, and we should ban hunting. So this was a short presentation about amphibians, and I would like to say at last that we should protect the amphibians because they have lives like us, and they should be protected, and they should get their freedom like we are getting. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, students from the Sunrise School, Nepal, for their presentation. And now I would like to ask the second team or the participant from International Hope School, Bangladesh, to start their presentation.
Hi, everyone. My name is Fahmi Damer, and I will be doing a solo presentation on amphibian extinction. We, as most of us here can see, are in the age of the sixth extinction. Brought upon us by no one but ourselves. We are actively messing up this fight against extinction, and the chopping down of rainforest is destroying the beautiful amphibian.
Damn right, I'm beautiful.
Excuse me?
Pleased to introduce myself. I am a poison dart frog. How do you do?
I'm sorry, I don't follow.
Oh, well, don't just sit here. I'm here for a reason. Come on, bullfrog.
What? All right, sorry. I was busy snacking on this pond moss. God, there's so much. All right. Sorry, what were we talking about?
What I was saying was, we are here to hijack this presentation. You humans do an awful job of representing us, so we decided to do it ourselves. First off, I think you're understanding just how—
Hold it. So you guys are talking frogs, actual talking frogs.
Well, does it sound like I'm a ghost? Of course we are frogs. We are here to genuinely represent our species to you lousy humans and eat pond moss while we're at it.
But why can you speak?
We can speak because the writer of the script was too lazy to provide an explanation. Now let's continue on what I was going to say.
Hold on. Just give me a second. So you guys are talking frogs that are taking over my presentation.
Yes, we are.
Well, I suppose you could provide us with some information. Mr. Andrew, is this fine with you guys?
Yes, let's hear from the talking frogs.
Anyway, okay,
Thank you. Anyways, now that the presentation is completely taken over, I'm going to provide some facts and logics. Next slide, please.
Okay.
What is this? Habitat destruction, my favorite topic. Oh, what's this? Destruction of wetlands. Oh, this is spicy.
Sorry to intrude, but could you please go a bit faster?
Oh, right. Sorry, my bad. The first thing I want to tell you guys is about that nobody, absolutely nobody talks about how much you guys are destroying my breeding grounds.
You mean where you make the children?
Yes, where I make the children. Anyways, do you know why I don't have kids yet?
Because you couldn't find a wife?
Well, that's one reason, but another reason is because you humans destroyed the wetlands in which my children would grow. You stunted our population, cut down our trees, and polluted our ponds, our lakes.
Hold on. Now that ponds point was kind of controversial because when you humans polluted the ponds, you killed a lot of my natural predators, meaning my population skyrocketed. In fact, there There were so many of us threatened population of other species because of how much food we ate. Oh my god, this is some good moss. Anyway,
So you as a bullfrog could prosper because we killed all of your, because we killed most of the things inside your food chain. But since we destroyed the breeding grounds of you, the poison dart frog, your population is dying? That's horrible.
Yeah, but you haven't seen the worst of it yet. Let me introduce you to another one of my friends. His species is almost nearly extinct, and he might be a little bit insane. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Lungless Salamander.
Well?
Oh, calm down. He's a little shaken after seeing you guys. He still has trauma from you destroying his local habitats through climate change. But
There were so many of us. So many. We thought you humans were good. We trusted you. Yet you killed us by the millions. I still remember seeing their bodies after they died of starvation. I still remember the groans of pain. Tell me, humans, was it worth it? Was it worth it?
Okay, let's calm down. Can someone please provide context for this?
well, I can, since my moss is almost finished.
Please.
Okay, so essentially when you humans decided that you needed your technology to advance, you destroyed many animal populations, including our endangered. His habitat was displaced because of your climate change. All because you humans decided that you wanted to advance your civilization.
Exactly. Can you imagine? Like your species, almost 31 of them are endangered, and only one living species is currently living in our Earth. Can you imagine losing almost your entire species because another more powerful species, humans, wanted a little bit of more space for farms? You humans, just looking at this is making me mad.
Their screams, the smoke in the air. I could see it coming off of their dead bodies.
Man, I didn't know. If we had known that we were killing so many of you, we wouldn't have done it. But is it too late? Have we tipped the
Well,
balance?
it's too late now. You've destroyed the balance.
What balance, though?
In nature, there's a delicate balance between creatures. Meaning, since creatures evolve alongside each other, there's natural equality. But large events or catastrophes may offset this balance.
Like an asteroid or maybe the Ice Age?
Exactly.
Like those massive events happen in a relatively short time and change the ecosystem.
So currently we're doing the same thing as the asteroid, but by ourselves.
The asteroid would have been better. At least it would have been fast. I would not have to watch everyone die. I had a wife. Her name was Kalilawala. I watched her die before my very eyes. My children, all dead.
I'm sorry for destroying your entire population, but I think you need a bit of time.
Yeah, wait, next slide, please.
Sorry.
And another thing, because of all this habitat destruction and all of this specieside, you humans are destroying yourselves slowly. Even with just us amphibians, you got a lot of things. You got medicine from my poison.
Food and bait from my flesh.
And I kept the insect population in check.
Well, insects are a big problem. Farmers have said that their crops are being destroyed, but what does that have to do with anything?
Exactly. And you repay me like this?
I saw my brothers die too, and I'm angry.
You didn't do anything to me, but I'm tagging along anyways.
You destroyed our population.
You killed us.
And this is how they're repaid?
Okay, let's take a second to breathe. What do you want us to do, though? Now that we know, we can focus on fixing this whole mess. We can try to rebuild.
Well, you can't get any of the extinct species back, But there are a lot of ways we can help species like the lungless salamander.
I'm all ears.
You could try addressing the major issue even outside the topic of amphibians.
Climate change.
I struggle to speak its name.
Well, we're trying to. We're trying to.
Trying isn't enough.
Well, how do you think we can solve it?
I hate you humans, honestly, but I'm willing to make an exception for you since you're actually listening. First, you must divert more of your resources into saving us, meaning public awareness.
So that means.
Tell me, how much do people actually think of us in their daily lives? Maybe they'll read like 1 or 2 articles and then feel sad for a while, but then they'll just go back to how it normally was.
So we have to get the word out. We have to tell people that this is a genuine problem.
Yes, exactly. But you do face one problem: the corporations destroying our habitat to advance.
So I'm assuming that they need incentive not to.
Correct. I never went to school, but I have a basic grasp of how popularity works. Changes.
If a corporation is shown to be genuinely eco-friendly, then their popularity should likewise increase. And more people should buy from them because they'll be painted as this moral and just corporation. But it'd be way faster and cheaper to just keep going as normal.
But the thing is, if people knew that their actions could contribute to the extinction of a whole species, they would be doing that action less.
But the thing is, if you incentivize being eco-friendly to the corporations, they might see potential in the field. Case in point, Team Trees.
You mean that insanely rich guy, Mr. Beast?
You're right. Team Trees actually made a massive profit despite being a non-profit organization. But they decided to funnel the extra money back into planting trees because they're supposed to be a non-profit organization.
And this blew up everywhere, meaning that people were more aware about the topic and made contributions through donations. That's genius.
So you must do something similar for amphibians. Maybe a presentation competition among students from different countries.
The young folk do need to know about this.
But what will we do about the chopping down of rainforests?
Well, it's incredibly simple.
Just replant.
Most human functions require wood in some way, so the destruction is understandable. But your unwillingness to simply replant.
I know, it's disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying instead of intruding on your ecosystem, we should try and live in peace and harmonize with you.
Unless you want a 6th mass extinction.
I'm gonna say it again, but how?
No one said it was gonna be easy.
And as much as I would like to kill all humans,
we won't.
Man, we're in deep now. I don't know what to say. You guys provided a lot of insight. Thank you, I suppose, for hijacking the presentation.
We did provide some good information, didn't we?
Yes, we did. And let's not pretend like you humans can fix what you did. But as long as you look towards the future with clear eyes,
we may not be able to bring back what was here before.
But as long as we can maintain hope,
we can
rebuild.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys. That was really wonderful. And also thank you for hijacking this presentation here. So kudos to your guys. It was really fun and a creative presentation. And now I would ask Bhatar Madhab Public High School from India to begin their presentation.
A very good evening to all the respected organizers and participants today. I, Sagnik, and my friend Aninda of Bhatar Madhab Public High School will be presenting a presentation on general introduction and ecological importance of amphibians. Next. Now I am presenting amphibia and the general characters. Amphibians are tetrapod. Few have no legs. Maximum are urotelic, very few are eurocotelic and ammonotelic. Ectothermic vertebrates belonging to the taxonomic class Amphibia. The developmental stage in the life cycle involves metamorphosis. It is a process where a completely aquatic larva undergoes developmental changes and transforms into a terrestrial adult. The larval stage is predominated by respiration through gills. The terrestrial stage is predominated by pulmonary respiration via lung. The skin performs absorptive and secretive functions. Their skin secretes mucus. The mucus keeps the skin moist and helps in respiration via body surfaces. While most of the adults are adapted to terrestrial lifestyles, few are capable of living in a wide variety of ecosystems, which includes fossorial, arboreal, and aquatic adaptations. Special features include the special features of amphibia are producing toxins, regenerates body parts, camouflage, warning coloration, parental care, and undergoes dormancy.
Next slide. Hi, I'm Anindya. I'm going to tell about classification of amphibia. Classification is the grouping of organisms into different taxonomic groups. All amphibians are grouped under class amphibia. Under amphibia, there are three orders: Apoda, which includes limbless amphibians; Anura, which includes tailless amphibians; and Urodel, which includes lizard-like amphibians. The following are the general characteristics of the three orders. At first, I'm telling about Sicilian. It belongs to Apoda. It has some features. Number one, absence of limbs. It's called vertiforms. Number two, fossorial or freshwater. And number three, inside the skin are tail-side scales. Number four, pair of tentacles located between their eyes and nostrils. Now I'm going to log Use Salamander. It belongs to
Now I am presenting the life cycle of an Anuran amphibia. At the time of reproduction, the male claps the female and simulates them to lay unfertilized eggs. The male immediately releases sperms that fertilize the eggs. This is external fertilization. After this, tadpole emerges and it slowly develops into an adult frog. Next slide, please. This slide shows the life cycle of an Sicilian amphibia. They show internal fertilization. The fertilized eggs are then laid and the mother protects the egg clutch. This is called parental care. The larval stage can be either aquatic or terrestrial. Next slide, please. Now I am going to present the life cycle of the Apoda, the life cycle of the Urodela amphibia. This slide shows they have both external and internal fertilization. Fertilized eggs are laid in fresh water, which sticks on any substrate. Aquatic larva emerges. It slowly develops into an adult. Adults are generally terrestrial. This slide shows the adaptations and behavioral specification. Camouflage is an adaptation where the organism fits with backgrounds that matches with their body coloration or texture and help them to hide from other animals, especially predators. Next, warning is aposematic or coloration. It's an adaptation opposite to camouflage, where the organism displays bright colors that contrast its environmental colors. Some species can produce deadly toxins that are capable of killing higher vertebrates, even humans. Next, regeneration. Phenomenon where the organism can regenerate parts of its body when it is cut off. This is very important to modern science and is studied to be used as a treatment to regenerate specific organs or body parts in humans. Next, parental care. In some species of amphibians, the parent directly protects the egg clutch or young ones from other predators. Example includes in Hylagoldi, the female carries the egg clutch on their back. Males of Rhinoderma darwini carries the eggs in their inflated vocal sacs. Ichthyopis coils around their eggs and protect them. Pipe carrying eggs on its back. Next, please. The importance of amphibians is an ecosystem. Amphibians play an important role in ecosystem as secondary consumers in many food chains. Tadpoles feed on various types of organic matter and are also predatory in nature and have significant impact in nutrient cycling. Both adult and larval amphibians feed on vast range of aquatic and terrestrial insects, which includes mosquito larvae, ants, beetles, and are one of the best biological pest controllers. Amphibia itself forms a major group of food for a vast range of terrestrial and aquatic organisms. This helps to stabilize the ecosystem. Association of amphibia with humans. Many amphibian groups are consumed as a food in several human communities around the world. Poison obtained from many species of frogs is used by Amazonian tribes for hunting and in medical fields and research. Many communities worship amphibia and consider them to be sacred. Many amphibia groups are studied for their regeneration capabilities and are used in medical fields. Next slide, please.
Approximately 472 species of amphibians are known from India, about 50% of them endemic. About 140 species are endemic to the Western Ghats, a biodiversity hotspot. Now you can think that why can the endemisms be dangerous for that species? Total area where the species lives have become smaller. Total species abundance is reduced. Species fail to use or adapt to different habitats. If this endemic population is lost, the species may become extinct. Can you show me the next slide, please? And the next topic is threatened amphibian species. The slide shows the total number of threatened species in the world. Species that have very few number of living members are called threatened. The color dot at the bottom of the slide shows the number of threatened species. The red dot represents threatened species. We can see that the Western Ghats of India is several red dots. This means that there are several threatened species in that area. And from the world map, we see that there are several areas throughout that significant number of threatened amphibians. From here, my friend Sagnik will present you.
Okay, this slide shows the threats associated to amphibians. The number of amphibians are described in decreasing due to the human activities that causes the following problems: severe loss of habitat area, 2, lack of awareness and conservation, 3, even the remaining amphibians are killed due to illegal hunting, wildlife trade, and illegal specimen collection, 4, lack of management and scientific infrastructure to save and protect the existing population, 5, government negligence in promoting awareness and providing funds for conservation, 6, improper conservation programs and strategy.
Human population has led to the overuse of natural resources. Overgrazing, deforestation, mining, etc. is abusing nature and is the main reason to stabilize ecosystem. Note, each and every species in the ecosystem is equally important for the proper functioning of the ecosystem. If harmful human activities are carried on, it will destabilize the ecosystem and the earth will no longer be a planet of life. And no one will be able to survive in this earth.
Thank you, guys. So it was really a nice presentation, and you guys even managed to overcome the network and the technical difficulties. So now, at last, but not the least, I would ask International Hope School, team number 3 or the third participant to start their presentation.
Good evening. My name is Fahim Siddiqui. I'll be talking about amphibian conservation and stuff about humans. So here are some of my details. So before we continue on what are really amphibians and all of that stuff, let's talk about what are amphibians, because we all need to know what are amphibians before we talk about the presentation. So first of all, the word amphibian is a noun in the English dictionary. It comes from the Greek language meaning 2 lives, which basically means before metamorphosis and after metamorphosis. So basically aquatic and then semi-terrestrial. Amphibians are any cold-blooded vertebrate of the class Amphibia, which consists of frogs and toads, mutant salamanders, and Sicilians. The larvae are usually aquatic, they breathe by the gills, and the adults are usually semi-terrestrial, which means that they can actually live in land and also live in the water places, aquatic. They actually breathe by the lungs through the moist glandular skin. So let's talk about the three legendary classes of amphibians. The first is Anura, frogs and toads. They're basically modern adult frogs and toads. If you want to know the differences between frogs and toads, it's that toads are a class of frogs, but they have short legs, and they usually jump very little, but frogs, they tend to hop. They have 4 legs, but they lose their tails after metamorphosis. They're the largest and the most famous group of amphibians. I bet you that if you search up amphibian in Google, that the first 10 results will at least have one slight mention of a frog. Sorry for my pronunciation, Codota mutant salamanders. They kind of look like your typical day-to-day lizard. They have slender body amphibians with long tails and 4 legs common. They usually spend their time on land, but they do come to water places for breeding, like tortoises. But not really with water, but with beaches. Ganophoiana Sicilians. They have no limbs, but only a short tail. They kind of look like snakes, but they're not. And it has been proved that they aren't worms. They do have a vertebrate. And they are not snakes, of course, because they do have amphibian stuff. So some people sadly think that amphibians are not very useful creatures in this land, sadly, but they are really useful. The first thing is that they're very interesting. The axolotl, which can actually regenerate, also known as Abstomia mexican, which can regenerate, are found in the Zayum Lake near Mexico City, which is of course in Mexico. Their size is around 6 to 18 inches. They weigh around 2.1 to 8 ounces and live around 10 to 15 years. They're of course carnivore, and sadly their population is around 100. Most of them are in scientific labs, and they have been listed as critically endangered by the International Union for Conservation of Nature. And the most interesting ability I found, in my opinion, is regeneration, of course. That's really the most common reason why they're famous. It has been noticed that these axolotls can regenerate entire limbs and some parts of the brain. They're medically crucial. Some of the antimicrobial peptides present in the frog skin, like certain frogs like green tree frog, Latin Litoria cerulea, southern orange-eyed tree frog, Latin Litoria corius, and green-eyed tree frog, Latin Litoria gunmasulata, have shown various abilities to kill off HIV, which is the disease, sorry, not the disease, the virus which causes the sexually transmitted disease called AIDS. And of course, the most important part and the most common part for the importance is their part in the food web. They control the population of insects, which basically cause malaria, dengue fever, Lyme disease, typhoid fever, cholera, and furthermore, and they're food source for birds, fishes, snakes, dragonflies, monkeys, and yes, sometimes humans. And basically, amphibians, they're still very mysterious. We don't know that much. So many discoveries still await us. From the background picture, my guess is that you can get an image of what I'm going to say. So this point, human disturbance is basically the main thing. If you actually look after what of the points I said after, all of them are connected to this one point, human activity. So the first point I would like to talk about is agriculture. When we set up crops and various land places for crop building, we actually take away precious habitats from amphibians such as frogs. And that, of course, messes up some space limits, and it gives a less area for frogs and other amphibians to reproduce and live their entire lives. Energy production and mining. Of course, this is one of the famous ones. When we produce energy in various ways like burning fossil fuels or other ways, we sometimes produce greenhouse gases known as carbon dioxide, methane, and more. These greenhouse gases have been noticed to actually cause mutations in the reproduction of frogs. There are cases where a frog has 6 legs. Well, it does sound funny. It really isn't funny. Later on, they won't be able to reproduce and they won't be able to do basic functions. Biological resource use. Yes, frogs and other amphibians are really great, and they're really great in their biological resource use, but you shouldn't use too much of something. Like if you do too much on this thing, you'll be a little bad on that thing. You have to keep a consistent amount and you have to keep a balance. Right now, scientists are using a little bit too much of amphibians than the reproduction rate can hold. And of course, pollution. This causes mutations, makes amphibians lose habitat area, and furthermore. And climate change. My guess is the #1 enemy of frogs and other amphibians. So basically, of course, climate change causes mutations and then other things, loss of habitat and reproduction loss. If you've seen all these threats, my guess is that the two most important factors are habitat and reproduction. So as we've talked about the dark side, let's talk about the good news. So our present conservation, well, if nobody really knows what the word is, conservation, well, it is the care and protection of certain resources so they can persist for future generations. Like if you keep this orange for further uses, your family or further generations can actually use it. So organizations. One of the most important organizations I found in the internet is Save the Frogs. Their website is in savethefrogs.com. And they're a really great website. They have a lot of resources and they have been noticed to but basically have a lot of competitions and make the world more interested in amphibians, such as frogs. And amphibians.org. This organization is a great organization. It has a lot of resources and they do offer donations. So the solutions. In my opinion, the first solution would be habitat protection. We first have to protect the habitats from other people and other diseases and other horrible things. Like for example, hunters and other people decide to hunt frogs and other amphibians for sport, yes, like sport and other things. Money, my guess, the most important factor for them. And it has been known that invasive species have come into the habitat, which really messes up the food web. Habitat restoration and creation. As these 2 points, these mostly focus on habitat. We basically do need to make our habitat, their habitat really, clear, and we need to protect them from horrible things. Species management. We need to manage the species, of course. We were the ones which caused this, and we should be the ones that should be able to fix it. We caused it, so we have the ability to fix it. Humans, they are great species and they have great capabilities. And they have been known to kill off a lot of species and a lot of people and a lot of animals. But they do have an interesting ability to restore other things. So we, in the end, do have the ability to fix them. The last point of solutions I would like to talk about is mass awareness. This solution entire thing won't be popular if we don't create mass awareness. We need to basically improve the mass awareness of this. We need to make amphibian conservation and other amphibians more popular. We could post it in various popular media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and others. So here's my bibliography, and before I end up this presentation, I would like to talk about this great, fantastic book. It talks about threats and solutions, and I'll provide it in the Zoom chat. I really do recommend you to read this book. So thank you for listening, and just as a memo, somewhat of a memo, and save to be saved. Basically, it says that if you help someone right now, they may help you later on. If you give some help to someone for homework, my guess, then maybe in some later homework, they might even help you. So my guess, if there aren't any questions, then I do highly recommend you to fill the straight short form, and I'll provide it in the Zoom chat. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Fahim. Thank you very much. That was wonderful.
You're welcome, sir.
So, okay, so now I would like to ask each of the participants to just turn on their mic and their videos and give yourself a huge round of applause for giving their best. So, congratulations, everyone.
We haven't had any frog calls. I think everyone should make a frog call. Frogs make different calls in different parts of the world. So wherever you are, what's the frog that you hear calling?
I hear them crying.
Oh, that's wonderful. Lovely.
That was really great, everyone. And now I would like to request Mr. Jyotirmay Deb, who is a filmmaker, a professor at Techno India University, India, and a researcher of visual language, to give his vote of thanks.
Thank you, Gaurav. Thank you, everyone, for the wonderful evening. The way students presented their passion for the little ones, that ensures us our world is going to be in the safest hands. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Katie Krieger, Director of Save the Frogs, for making it possible. A special thanks to Subhash Chandra Harel from Nepal, Hassan Al-Razi Choyun from Bangladesh, for your hard work to create the transboundary platform. Thanks to Oishani Ghosh and Arnab Chakraborty for mentoring the students so well. Special thanks to Shivaji Mitro, my friend, and all the enthusiastic students who have delivered such a nice talk, and the teachers mentoring them so well. Last but not the least, thanks to all guests, audiences for staying with us. Thanks to all team members for the support. I would like to request to switch on the camera so that we can take a digital group photo. Thank you.
Just a quick announcement. Dr. Krieger wants to play a short tune of Bansuri of his. So let's welcome him with a great round of applause. Kelly, please.
Okay. Hi. I first want to say congratulations to all the speakers. Those were very well thought out presentations, well researched and well delivered. And it gives me hope for the future, knowing that all of you are out there knowledgeable about frogs and capable of not only sharing your knowledge, but getting stuff done for the frogs. And again, thanks to Sarbani and the organizers for getting all this together. So yeah, I play bansuri, bamboo flute, classical music of northern India and Nepal and Bangladesh and South Asia in general. And I'm going to play a famous raga, a evening melody, because it's evening in your time. And so this is Hansadwani. Thank you.
Damn, that was good.